Good evening. I'm not exactly sure why I decided that this would be the first one or the first video that everyone would see me in, but this is the quick follow-up. This will only be a few minutes to the tiny beer can sized 350 watt Utilitech plug-in heater experiment here in the van. Because at the conclusion of the last one, I left it kind of borderline. And last weekend, I did actually go to a music festival, and I thought about bringing this heater, but I didn't want to be asked out, and it was about 2 hours north of me, and we knew it was going to be cold. So I brought a proper sized heater, and everything was fine. It was a great weekend, amazing festival. Really only needed a blanket, honestly. Had the heater on for a little bit, no big deal. But as they say, be prepared. So here we are this evening, chilling with the Nomies. They are recurring, by the way, as we go through videos of the van. So I've actually even got the Wii thing on now. So this is it in all of its glory. Kind of the other reason why I decided to not bring it to the music festival is because of this. Okay, so instead of having where it's got its own plug that goes into an outlet of some kind, this was designed to actually be plugged into the wall somewhere in an outlet. Presumably in a very small room, maybe a bathroom, maybe your bathroom, I don't know, doesn't have CHA or whatever, and it's cold in there and you need to, or you want to heat it up so you're not cold AF when you get out of the shower or whatever. Or maybe for if you're in an office, under the desk, if your office allows you to bring tiny heaters to warm your feet or something, or there is something that I will get into later that's called personal heating versus heating a room or heating a structure. It's kind of an interesting concept, which is very old. There's actually something called a Dutch heater. Google it. It's super cool. Super sounds like a fire hazard. You might die. But still an interesting concept where you're warming yourself or part of yourself versus trying to heat an expanse. So something like this might be good for that. Or, if you are someplace cold and you're in your van, maybe you want to do just that, to maybe just warm your feet or your lap area or something like that. What I ended up doing was, or even right now, I took the power cable or power cord, and I just, because we're all in the van life, right, so there's hooks everywhere, so I just hooked it up, so that way the cord is not trying to pull the heater over, which is one of the other things that I was kind of worried about, especially like if you're sleeping or whatever. I was at the festival, I was like, don't want to do that. So I brought a proper size heater, and all these things have the tip over safety technology and all that sorts of stuff, and are less likely to kill you in your sleep than the propane heaters and things like that. But still, be careful with these things. So again, it's running, and just so you're not hearing me talk about it for 15 minutes, I've had it running. It's probably about 20 minutes now. I've been doing things kind of around the van. I took my heavy jacket off. It's 52 right now where I'm at. It was, I don't know, 56, 58 in the van when I got in. And, well, we'll see what it is now, just generally ambiently. It's like 61, which is still comfortable, but it's, that same kind of reading that we were having the last time where it's really only raising the ambient temperature a couple of degrees. But I can tell you this. So what I did, In the last experiment, I kept it at its default 72 degree setting. It really didn't do a whole lot, but if you're sitting in front of it, it really does dry the air around you out, and it at least makes you feel warmer. And I can say that sitting directly in front of it, you're warm, like kind of hot actually. Um, and I did this off camera, but I literally just stood in arms. It's a little bit outside of my arm's reach now, and just held that thermometer in front of me. And yeah, so I have it set at 90 now. I put it up to 11 again. Its little power setting back up to 11, and it's toasty. It really is toasty. Um, if I was wearing like a tank top or something underneath, and this is just a rash guard. This isn't like an actual sweatshirt or anything. I think I would actually be comfortable in just like a tank top or something, even though it's cold outside. Like I said, 52, or I'm sorry, for those of you who are viewing from other areas, 52 may not be that big a deal. Here in Florida, 52 is, people kind of, they put on socks. But at any rate, so yeah, so directly in front of it, you're pretty warm. So what is the end thought? Is this something that someone might want to carry with them? I would say if you are going for more of a heat the space versus heat yourself, if you are in like a teardrop camper, or maybe even a motorcycle camper, and you were able to suspend the heater like over your bed, I think those would be perfect applications for that. Or, if you are in a van or RV, well, actually, no, I would say van. If you are in something like an RV, this is definitely too small of a heater. And you want to warm the general area around you, or possibly just yourself, I think this would be fine. At least to temperatures above freezing. You get lower than that, this heater is definitely not, no, definitely do something else. And especially, again, if you have blankets and, a good temperature appropriate sleeping bag, if you're the kind of person who likes to do layers, things like that, you would be more than fine, even without this, to be honest with you. But if you're the kind of person that, or especially, because here in Florida, the problem with winter isn't just that it's cold, it's also damp. And those of you who have been in damp versus dry cold, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That even, when you're wearing things that are warm, that you just feel chilled to the bone, and that's what the damp does. So like I said, if it's something that you just want to dry the air around you with, that would also work. And again, part of this is also price point. Those of us who are in our vans, either recreationally, you have a place to live, and that's fine. And you're just, that's what I do. This van is my adventure buddy. So we go out kayaking, fishing, the music festivals, camping, whatever. I don't live out of him. Yes, he is a him. Full time. And that's okay. I know that I could live out of them full time if I had to, but I don't need to. And the same thing with any of you. If you don't have to, or don't want to, or even if you do need to, that's okay. That's why I'm doing this, to kind of give everybody sort of a sense of what this is going to accomplish. So, but I would say if you're in a place with power, go ahead and just get like the regular, and the one that I use is like this size, so it's my thumbstick, the bigger, slightly bigger one. That's also a ceramic heater like this. And then you at least don't have to question, will this heater be strong enough for whatever temperature that I'm in? Still bring your, whatever winter gear you have. Still bring whatever rated sleeping bag that you have for where you're going, blankets, things like that. This is YouTube, so we've all seen, where people are in their van and it's like -9 and they have no heater. Unfortunately, yes, if they have anything liquid, it freezes. Or you have to keep in mind any accessory like your glasses, if you wear glasses, may freeze, which means that if you try to, there's a possibility that they could shatter. Um, if you're trying to open or move them or things like that. If you have dentures and keep them in a solution overnight, -9, they will be frozen when you wake up. So there's things like that. But can you survive sleeping in, slightly negative temperatures without a heater? Yes, you can. But it depends on the equipment that you have with you. So I would say if you have power, um, shore power, just go ahead and use a proper heater. There's no reason not to. If you do not have shore power, and yes, I do use the Mr. Buddy upon occasion if I do not have power, but again, it's, I turn it on, get the van super hot, jump into bed, get all the blankets and everything, and then I turn it off. And yes, I do have a carbon monoxide heat detector, and keep in mind, always keep the carbon monoxide detector at your head, because the carbon monoxide falls. So it's going to be at a lower level. So please don't sleep on the floor when you're using these things. When you're on your bed, you want to keep it by your head, not above your head. And then the other thing is too, with the heaters. So yes, I can open my windows. I've read all the instructions with Mr. Buddy. I completely understand that you open your windows, you have the air clearances. It's perfectly safe to use in the van, and that's fine. I myself personally just can't get over the willies of it, and so I won't do it. And then the other thing is that yes, I have the roof vent here. For those of you who have a roof vent, and I understand that depending on where you're parked, if you are either a van lifer and maybe you're in urban areas, or B, maybe you're passing through and you're choosing to pull over and stop somewhere, that opening your side windows may not be an option. But if you open the roof vent, remember that heat rises. So you're letting go of a lot of these BTUs before they have an opportunity to do anything for you. Or maybe, not as much as they could. So you'll have to weigh that for yourself. I simply choose to, the van is not airtight by any means. So, even if there was no heat source, I am not going to suffocate on my own in the van at all. If I have everything shut. But, things like that, be careful. And again, the other thing is, and maybe it's just me being paranoid, we don't have, keep in mind, if you're in your van, you don't have a lot of room. And if you are a kind of sleeper that tends to move around a lot, what if you accidentally kick your blanket over and it happens to be close enough to the propane heater and, catches on fire or something. So, there's a lot of safety reasons why I myself personally choose not to do that. But I know plenty of people do, and they are still alive. They are still here. They did not die. So that's okay. But so I would say for this particular experiment, this guy, I think he's cute. He does have his particular applications. I think if it's particularly chilly, cold, the closer it gets to freezing and then surpasses freezing, he's not going to be enough unless, again, your aim is to simply heat a spot or heat yourself. Then he could be okay. Like if you just want to put your feet in front of him, all right, fine. And if you have a generator will run this thing easy for like a long time. If you have something like a Jackery, or a Blue Eddy or whatever, depending on what size you have, you would have to do the math to see how long this would run for you. And, again, it's one of those, if the answer is it's only going to run a couple hours with the station you have, or even if you have deep cycle batteries or what have you. If it's only going to run for a couple hours, well, how long are you sleeping? You know, even if you're sleeping 6 hours a night, we'll say, um, you know, how long do you need to be warm for? So again, you're going to have to make a decision for yourself. Um, or if you're in a place that you can run a generator, you know, again, you know, if you're boondocking like way off the side of a mountain somewhere, you know, and there's like literally no one who's going to come, whatever, and find you, and be upset that you're running your generator after 10 p.m., then fine. You know, but again, if I had a generator, I kind of wouldn't waste my time with this little guy. I would have a proper size heater, and then, you know, if I want to wiggle my toes in the ceramic heat, I can do that. Whatever. Um, so yeah, so that's my opinion on that. I wouldn't say it's completely useless. I definitely think it has its moments. Um, you know, the having to make sure that you hang the cord kind of makes it um, a little not as useful in a van, because then you kind of have to finagle stuff. Whereas if you just have the little box heater or something like it, you can just stick it someplace, and it has its own cord, and then you have it meet the other cord, and it's fine. So it kind of represents a little bit more trouble, kind of than it's worth on that one. But again, price point, this thing listed at Lowe's, I think for 30 bucks. I got it on clearance for like $12.25. So for 12 bucks, I don't care. I'll go ahead and keep it, and I'll use it wherever it's useful. And you know, that's the end of that. So at any rate, this video went on a little bit longer than I had intended, but I hope that answers the question for everybody. And as we start to look in the spring, I hope everybody's staying warm. And my next video will be tips and tricks of using the GoSun Go solar oven. I got 2 of them, and I'll tell you why in the next video. And I'll also tell you what I think of them, but I'm not going to do like an unboxing. I'm not going to do a how to use it. There's plenty of other videos that are out there. But I will give you a real life, this is what to expect versus what they tell you on their websites. Not necessarily saying that they're per se lying to you. You know, I don't think that they're deliberately not truth in advertising. But real life experiences with the thing, and what the overall thoughts are. So that'll be the next video. Until then, don't die.